Yell it out, yell it out. So that's John Wanamaker. So why do I picture John Wanamaker? So as we said, I spent a number of years in advertising with agencies, and I'm from Philadelphia. So John Wanamaker is actually in the advertising and marketing field, seen as a pioneer. He was the first person to take out full-page ads in newspapers. He was the first person to hire a full-time copywriter. I put him in there because one of John Wanamaker's favorite quotes was, "I know half my advertising is wasted, I just don't know which half." So I was thinking, John might like this session, right? I mean, at the end of this session, hopefully John would know which half is being wasted. And what we want you people everybody here to take away, hopefully, are a couple of actionable items that you can take back from this session and apply to your day-to-day.
So our goal is to turn this frown upside down.
That's right. That's right. Very serious. So, at Converge Consulting, we actually do a lot of Google Analytics workshops around the country. We have usually 10 to 20 to 30 people, and we really do a 2-day deep dive session. And they're really informative. And this is actually from one of the people that attended our last one in Boston. And this was her question, right? She's Monday morning, right? She's just getting her coffee. She's just kind of easing into the week. Boss bursts in and says, "I have a meeting in an hour and I need a Google Analytics report." It's like, well, what do you do with that, right? Where do you begin? So that's really what we want to flesh out today.
And how many of you has that happened to? What was your experience with that? What they asked for?
Well, they were trying to do a new project, which is a virtual tour. They wanted a whole bunch of information about our current student videos and like basically how much traffic they're getting and how long they spend on those. And I hadn't had much experience with Google Analytics, so I had to stumble around and find exactly how to pull that information out of the data. I ended up getting it, but it took a little while to teach myself.
Right. And with the last minute requests, quick teaching.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any experience like that? Okay.
So what you find is, and what we found is that, what's great about Google Analytics is double-edged sword, right? Is what really is kind of frustrating is about it. Anywhere, anytime, right? I need a Google Analytics report. I want to measure this, I want to measure that. Okay, well, you can do that through, I heard you do that through Google Analytics. But it can be very frustrating, right? Has this ever happened to you? It's like, I don't know where to begin. And what we also find is the more people get into it, the more questions they feel like, okay, wow, I didn't know I could measure this, I didn't know I could measure these other things. So then the more questions they have, and it's just like, I don't know where to begin, so I'm just not going to touch it. So
yeah, and our goal is so that you don't look like that at the end of the day.
Or like John Wanamaker. So just kind of a show of hands. So who touches Google Analytics every day? It's like they're part of their job every day. Okay.
How about once a week?
Yeah, exactly. So again, overview, it's going to give you some kind of actionable things that you can apply as soon as you get back. So, has anyone heard of Avinash Kaushik?
He's the patron saint of web analytics.
Right. See, he's smiling like John Wanamaker was smiling. Because he can figure out which half is working, which half isn't. Avinash, if you don't know, he's got a great book on Google Analytics, must read, Web Analytics an Hour a Day. His blog is awesome as well. I encourage everyone to subscribe to his blog, but make sure you have a cup of coffee in 20 minutes to really just kind of dive into it, because tons of good content. He's not a Seth Godin with quick bites. I mean, he really dives into a lot of
And his current job is digital marketing evangelist at Google. So
That's a cool job.
It's a great title. And I mean, when someone's talking about analytics, they're usually quoting him or just doing something that he's already done.
Right.
He's on top of this game. And I would suggest checking out that blog at least once every other week, just to kind of take the pulse of what's going on out there, because there's little tips that you can pick up along the way that would be super helpful.
Yep. Exactly. And when we do smaller groups, we kind of go around and say, find Google Analytics, what's it mean to you, that kind of thing. He has a really good definition, which I think is worth reading. the analysis of qualitative and quantitative data for your website and the competition, which is important, the competition as well, we'll get into that, to drive a continual improvement of online experiences that your audiences and potential audiences have, which translates into your desired outcomes both online and offline. And what's really, I think, interesting about that is now that Google Analytics is also driving your offline behavior as well, right? Like if you're doing billboards or you're sending out emails and things, you can figure out through Google Analytics which ones are working, who's opening what, and you're really just kind of building that framework for your entire recruiting or marketing portfolio. So here's a picture of a dashboard. Has anybody seen a dashboard who has a dashboard? Lots of people, lots of people. So web analytics does not start here, right? How do those numbers look to everyone? Good, bad, or I don't know? Mostly I don't know, because what, again, we'll get into it. What are you measuring against? What did you do last month? Those kinds of things. They may be great numbers. You know, a bounce rate of 60% might be a good thing, right? Maybe someone is on that page, they've gotten what they want, and they moved on. Or maybe they haven't, maybe they're frustrated. So you don't know with this.
It's all dependent on what your goals are and what you're setting as the things you need to take away and report on, which we'll get into. But this could be the best news, or this could be the worst news. And what we need to do is figure out what the answer to that question.
Right. So this was me in Daytona Beach yesterday. Beautiful day. So Google Analytics is a continuous process, right? It's like the tide. It comes in, it comes out, right? And that's really the most important thing that we want to kind of get across here is that Google Analytics is a continuous process. This is probably one of the more important slides that we're going to share with you today. You know, you're continually measuring, you're analyzing, and you're changing. And then you're continuing that over and over again. It's just a continuous process.
And this is going to be the theme of everything that we're talking about today. And it's so simple, but yet so complex. But it just touches on every single thing you need to be thinking about all the time when you're looking at analytics.
Right. Right. Make sense so far? Okay. And then really, you know, where do you want to start? What do you want to measure, right? So show of hands, who has a web analytics plan in place right now?
So I saw a so-so over there.
Yeah. I haven't seen a lot of like, yes, it was like, kind of going in. Right?
Yeah, there was a lot of this. Can you talk about your experience and what you have?
Yeah, I'm from Redstone Polytechnic Institute. So at the institute marketing level, there's some Google Analytics that I, as a graduate admissions department, can ask to see, but not that I'm fed directly and not that I'm involved in the process. But that they're willing to share with us if I ask.
Okay. Yeah, so those are a lot of challenges that we hear on a consistent basis where, I mean, you have websites and there may be 3 or 4 different webmasters. They want to hold the keys to the car. They want to have control over that data, and giving it to you gives them the potential to possibly not look so good. So they're going to hold it close to the vest, but it's super important that you get the keys to the car because you guys are the decision makers. You're on the front lines, and it may be a struggle, but it's a struggle that's worth taking.
Right. Absolutely. Anyone else have a plan like to share, talk about?
Yeah.
When we finally fought the battle of getting access, now none of us know how to use it. So we finally won that battle, and they said, great, here you go. Now we're sort of stuck saying, awesome.
Right.
Now
And running down the highway 60 miles an hour and we don't know where, you know, it's really.
And here comes Avinash to help you.
Yeah.
So it works out. I mean, everything that I learned, I started just online doing my own research with Google Analytics, and then the numbers started making sense to me once I just had that baseline knowledge. And I mean, I would suggest doing the same thing. There's great YouTube videos. There's Avinash's books and his blog. And I mean, just talking to your colleagues in a setting like this also helps because we all have different experiences, but our goals are most likely the same.
Right. And that's back to that double-edged sword I was talking about when we do the smaller groups. When someone says, you know, it's really just not a tool, you know, Google Analytics is a way of life. It's like we really need to kind of get in, play with it, and really want to kind of learn what you can do with it because there is so much you can do. But again, what we want to go through here today, and there are always those people, and as Josh, you know, is one of those people, they're always going to figure it out. But, you know, you all don't have all the time in the world, you have other jobs, so if we can give you a framework, you know, to know what to look for and to go after it, I think that would be helpful for everyone, hopefully. So the first thing is to create a plan. You see the one guy there, he's not buying into it, right? He's the guy in your own, like, I'm not buying this stuff. You guys create your own plan, I'm out of here, right?
That's the webmaster.
Get it, webmaster?
We practiced that one last night.
So this begins the interactive part of this presentation, and would love everyone to just kind of shout out, some ideas on this framework. But this is really kind of a framework to where you start, right? And this presentation is available for everybody, and you feel free to reach out to me or Josh and send this to you. But this is good to know. You know, number one, what are your business objectives, website goals, KPIs, targets, and segments. So does that make sense, everybody? Okay.
All right, so the first thing that we want to look at is business objective. And we'll just throw this out to the group. What's the purpose of your website? Anybody?
Get more traffic.
No. No, that's not good. Get out. Out of here. Wrong session. Anybody else? Recruit students. Okay, I think that's a good one. Let's start with that.
Right.
Let's go to the next one. What actions do you want people to take on your website if your business objective is to recruit students? Apply. Request info.
Schedule a visit.
Yep, all great goals, and that's what we need to strive for.
Right.
And then we'll talk about key performance indicators. What metrics